this is...
Oh, I claim everything. Because I can't help but always talk about art and dance and my business. Not that it's my business, but you know, but if you treat yourself as a business, then everything you do, everything that comes out of your mouth is about what you're passionate about, which is what you're working on. And the people that I end up going and having a coffee or a drink or dinner with are also artists, and we're constantly you're just bouncing ideas off of each other, and they're your friends, but they're people that you're going to collaborate with or give you spark that idea to do that thing. So that to me is
no, that's like what you're supposed to do.
I hope the IRS does not come after me now. But it genuinely, I can remember every conversation I've had at every restaurant I've ever been in for the whole year. So I'm looking at my receipts going, oh my God, I remember I had that idea for that thing because, you know, this person and I talked about the movie that we went and saw. And the movie that we went and saw sparked that idea, and the book that I bought for, you know, from Barnes & Noble, it just goes. And so you get to like have it all. But I just print out all of my bank statements, and then you just go and write what everything is.
So you don't have like a guy, you're doing this totally like from your own brain. You don't have a tax guy.
No. So you know, I have a theory, I feel like, because we weren't taught this in school. Like nobody said this is something you have to know as an adult and you have to do. It's not my fault if I do the best that I can possibly do and it's not perfect.
Right.
I feel like that should be something that you learn in public education. Hey, government, it's not my fault that this isn't correct.
Right.
I'm guessing.
Teach me how to do it.
Teach me and I'll do it really well, but I don't think I should spend a couple $100s on somebody to do it for me when, as an artist, you're not going to get that much back anyway. Or I'm not making that much anyway, so how can I spend so much money on it? But I probably should have somebody do it for me. I kind of like it though. It's kind of fun.
You're a nerd.
I'm such a nerd. You get to like recap your whole year of experiences and remember everything.
Your taxes are your scrapbook.
Kind of.
That's really good.
Wow. I grew up in Miami Beach, Florida, and what does childhood Marla look like? I think I was really lonely as a kid and didn't have, I mean, I had friends or like people, you know, kids who lived in the neighborhood that I would hang out with because they were there. But I think in school I was always kind of alone, and I would always be friends with the group of kids who were a little outcasted, like the girl with one eye, and the, like, genuinely, like the people who were bullied or who just didn't have friends. Like we would all kind of like come together, and yeah, so I think dance was the one place where I didn't have to have friends. I didn't have to talk to anybody or be with anybody else. We could just be together and all focused on another task. And so I could just go off on my own.
Like imagination.
Yeah, because it's so physical, it's so internal that I was working on, okay, what is this turnout? How do you do a pirouette? How do you do it? And it was so focused and I was so obsessed with it that I didn't have to, it wasn't about being social for me. It was about working on myself, and made me a lot more confident, and then I could go and sit by myself and not care. Or like I had this whole life outside of school that nobody knew about. Nobody knew that I was a dancer, that I could dance, and so it made me not care.
When did you start?
I think I was about 6 when I went to summer camp for dance. My parents always, you know, they worked, so I went to summer camps, and in Miami it's so ungodly hot in the summer, and they'd send me to these parks, and I'd be outside and everybody would be running around, and you'd, you know, be burnt by the slide because the plastic was too hot. And it was, I didn't have any fun at all, and I didn't want to, like, I hate when balls are flying at your face. Like, I was sporty, you know, I was athletic, but I hated playing sports.
Totally.
Yeah,
yes.
so, you know, I'd be off in the corner, like, making up dances with friends or whatever, and miserable in the heat. And then one summer, there was a performing arts camp that opened up that was inside. There was air conditioning, and I could dance, and they had like big, you know, those big like yoga balls to play on, and there was a little stage, and we had like, you know, creative hour where you could make up dances, or if you wanted to write a play, or whatever, arts and crafts and different things, and you take dance classes. And so yeah, I was about 6 years old.
But it didn't start super codified. It was you didn't start like in first position.
No. I didn't take a ballet class until I was 14, 15. Yeah, I had no idea about ballet. I mean, and yeah, I took like jazz classes. So, you know, in jazz, like you do tendus, you do pliés, you do all those things. But like I still can't, I'm so bad at doing a pirouette. I just can't do it. I don't know why.
It's just hard to
I went to
understand.
Juilliard, and I like struggle with a double pirouette. And on the left, I can do a single, and that's it, and
You're
that's
like,
the way
I'm
it
doing a
is.
single. Like,
And that's the
what
way
you're
to
doing.
it, and it's a really beautiful single,
There you
and
go.
that's the way it is. I went to Dual School of the Arts and their dance division. It was an amazing school. Kids from all over the county, like people would come drive 2 hours or get on a bus and a metro and come to this school downtown, and it was the place where all the losers got to come and be nerdy about their art. You know, people, when you say you're a dancer, people think that that's this glamorous, like really cool thing, and you see music videos and like those dancers are so cool. But we're really nerdy. Like, we're really, really nerdy. And artists, and you think, oh my God, that creative artist that gets to like live in the studio and paint, like how cool are they? No, like it's really nerdy. It's obsessive. You just, we're perfectionists, and you have to like, it needs to be exactly right.
Forever.
I think everyone was really good. I think everyone had talent. I don't think most people wanted to pursue it. I don't know if I realized that then. Definitely by my senior year, I understood that there were like 2 of us that were gonna, maybe 3, 4, that were like really thinking about it. But no, most people, I think you get burnt out, and if your parents push you too hard, you get burnt out. And for a lot of kids, they'd spend all day in school and spend, you know, the 4 hours or 3 hours in the dance division, and then they'd go to their studios afterward and then dance till 9 o'clock at night, and then have to do your homework. Like, I didn't have to do all of that. I didn't go to dance classes outside of high school. I didn't have time, or my parents didn't have time to take me, or I didn't have like a, you know, the competition dance studio. There wasn't one near me. It wasn't what I was interested in. And so I didn't get burnt out because
It was just enough.
yeah, it was just enough. And it was focused enough that I really was able to grow and excel. But yeah, most people, they just wanted to be kids, you know, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And they had a great time and a great education. And I think they learned a lot of useful skills for their real life. Juilliard was really hard. I think I went, you know, I was 18 and wanted to be in college, and was finally away from my family and away from everything that I knew, and wanted to just have some fun. And it's not college, it's conservatory, and you're working 12 hours a day on your craft, and that's what it's going to be. And I think that was really hard at first for me to accept that. And then once I did, I was kind of the underdog of the class a little bit. Didn't know. I wanted to live my life. I wanted to be Marla. I didn't want to be forced into this, you're a dancer and dancers are this. I just wanted to explore who I was, and I loved people, and I loved having conversations with people and partying and like feeling, you know, I had been so focused my whole life on dance that I really just wanted to be a person, and I found that really challenging there. And the pivotal moment for me was they put me on a warning of being kicked out because for lack of improvement in the second half of my sophomore year. And I had earlier that year, this boy who I was like so in love with died like suddenly in a car accident. And so I became even more lost than I already was. And they didn't seem to, the faculty knew what had happened. He was also at Juilliard, and it was this big tragedy that happened, but they didn't coddle me in any way. They didn't make me different in any way. And they said, you know, you have to step up or, you know, make some space for someone else. And I realized that I had to grow up and that I needed to be more serious about it. And so it like really set the fire under my ass. Wow. And so I started taking more seriously. I stopped going out. I moved out of the dorms, which I think was really helpful for me, and started cooking my own meals and going to bed early and being fresh for class. And then slowly, you know, thought maybe I wanted to choreograph something, and would get into the studio and realized like I didn't want to do that. Or then like a month later go, okay, maybe I can do it this time. And I was like really afraid of my own voice. And in classes I would kind of, I mostly would try and stay in the back or like in the center or somewhere safe for a while anyway. Until this like pivotal moment, and then I started going to the front of class and really pushing myself because I needed them to know that I did want to be there. They had us on this big track for like contemporary ballet, and I'm so happy to have done that, to have worked with, I don't know their names, Nicola Fonte and Matthew Neenan, and people that were choreographing ballet companies. And then started, I think the biggest influence was probably, an outside choreographer, Azure Barton, came in, and God, I don't think she even worked on my class until my senior year. She choreographed like a little like last number for our senior showcase, like a little group dance that we were all going to do at the end of the solos that we were all presenting. And I really connected to it. It felt human and silly and then serious at the same time. And she saw something in me, which was more than, I don't think anybody really saw me in school, or they did, and I, was too caught up in my own thing to understand that they saw me. And then I ended up working with her after school, and that was right, like you were saying, how amazing it is to work with contemporary choreographers while you're in school and make those contacts and network and make those connections with people and have them help mold you into their company or into whatever it is that you're going to do. I also worked with, when I was a freshman, there was a senior, Austin McCormick, who has company XIV, and I loved his work in school. I was, you know, I don't think he even knew how, like, I was like, that is so cool.
Well, what is it about that work?
Well, he did these solos that were for women, and they were really strong and sexual and sensual and powerful, and he did them to Charles Bukowski. Yeah, poetry, and it, I don't know, it really moved me. It really, really moved me. And he made these films, you know, and it was gorgeous. And I think it was the first time I understood that you could be more than a dancer, that you could tell a story, that you could be an actor and a dancer at the same time, and that dance could be human, that you could feel like a real person on stage, and still be virtuosic. Be virtuosic and tell a story, and be raw, and be human. That didn't happen when I was doing contemporary ballet. I was in Sleep No More for a year and a half, and then decided I needed to leave Sleep No More because I don't know, I was just hungry for more. And so I left Sleep No More and moved with my boyfriend at the time to Belgium. Don't know why, because he decided that's where we should go. I was like, okay, sounds good. I always knew I wanted to go to Europe. But when I was graduating school, I didn't want to go right away. I had made all these contacts with people in New York and worked with all these choreographers at school. And I thought, why should I leave? Why should I abandon my city? I didn't know what was going on here. I wasn't exactly seeing things that were really sparking my interest, and it felt unfair to leave. So I stayed for a while. I worked with Azure, I worked with Austin, and then found Sleep No More. And that was everything I ever wanted in a career and in dance that I never knew existed. I came in as their first like on stage swing. So I was in, you know, scheduled 6 shows a week, but always did 8. And it was to give relief to everybody who was scheduled for 8 shows a week at the time. And I think very quickly they realized that that's not going to work. So they hired me and one other guy. And so that everybody could be on a 7-show-a-week schedule. But I ended up always doing 8, almost, for a while. And then after a year and a half, I was burnt out. I was exhausted. The subject matter is so hard and so heavy, and I was so young that I didn't understand how to separate that from my real life, and that it's a performance. And there are skills and techniques that you use to perform that you don't have to give everything you have. Even when you give everything you have emotionally, it's you can use technique. I was completely immersed. My whole life was immersed in that show. And so after a year and a half, I said, okay, I need to get out of here for a time. Go explore, do something else. And so I moved to Belgium, and that was not the right place for me at the time. I don't know if I would feel that way now. I really missed dancing, just dancing. And in Belgium, I was in Brussels, the actors and the clowns and the circus people and the dancers and the musicians, they all take the dance class together. And I actually found that really frustrating at the time, because I just wanted to dance. I wanted space, I wanted to move, I wanted to, you know, work on my technique again. And it sounds really beautiful and really amazing. And I think if I went right now, I'd be so excited and so happy about it. But at the time, it wasn't the right thing, and things with that boyfriend were not going well, and Hofesh was having an audition. And I remember when I was in school, I went to Fall for Dance, and they showed Uprising, and it was all men, and I thought, oh my gosh, so this is a male company. Damn, because I've never seen anything that I thought I could see. I never saw a dance company that I thought I could do that. That's what I want to do. Because most dance companies that Juilliard was gearing us toward were contemporary ballet, it was NDT, and, you know, these like very rigid companies that I didn't want to be a part of. And so Hofesh's company was the one that I thought, oh, that's really interesting. I like that. So when he was having an audition, I thought I should try and do that. And of course, then I missed the audition because I wasn't able to like get on the train, or I don't know. I just couldn't get my life together to do it in time. But I sent all the materials in, and I guess they didn't find anybody, and they asked if I would come to Ireland because Hofesh had a day off and would audition me there. You know, I had to be invited to the audition, you had to fill out filled out the form, and then you get invited to send your resume. So they invite me to send my resume. I send my resume, and then they invite you to send a video. And I think that's why I didn't make the first audition, was because I was like, I don't have any video of me dancing. And they're like, well, you can't come unless you have video. And so then I blew it. But then this time they're like, please send video.
They're like, just shoot one.
Well, just shoot one. So I went out in the middle of winter in Brussels with my computer, because I didn't have a camera, and I didn't have a phone that like had a good enough camera on. And I was outside in a park, and I set up my camera, my computer, and I'm like bundled in like a poofy little thing. And I think I even like winked at the camera on accident. Like gave like a totally cheeky smile, and like ran far away from the camera and just improvised for like 30 seconds, not even long. It wasn't anything good even. And sent it, and they invited me to come to this audition. So I went, and I wasn't really up to like the standard of being like a company member. I could feel that, I could see that, and I think they just saw something in me that like I had the potential to do that. And so I went, and I spent the year, and I don't think I did that well. I think I was resistant, and because I drank the Kool-Aid of Punch Drunk and Sleep No More, and I felt like such a community and a village there, that when I went to try and have a new community and village, it wasn't the right one for me. It was a dance company, and I didn't understand why we had to like rehearse so much, and what was the difference between like your hand going like this or your hand going like this? Like I just didn't see why it mattered at the time. And so when Punch Drunk called me to come and join their London show of The Drowned Man, it was like my savior, because I just wasn't connecting with Hofesh and with the company, and he wasn't around, and I didn't get along well with the associate, or I don't know, I just wasn't the right fit. So then I went and joined The Drowned Man and felt like back with my people. And I didn't know, I mean, some of them were from Sleep No More, but the majority of people I didn't know. But they have such an interesting way of casting the right like type of person, so you're gonna have a really good time, and you're gonna get along well with everybody, or there's gonna be something that you're gonna be able to connect with. I loved London. I got to a point where I was in Europe. I was away from New York for 2 years, and I knew that it was a moment where I either needed to put roots down and really do it and really live there and get my own visa this time, and because my visas were ending and that the companies had gotten for me, and be a freelancer and, you know, establish myself as a person in that city, or I needed to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wanted to come back. New York is home for me, and I wanted to leave New York so that I could see what was going on in the rest of the world and learn from other people, other cultures, and challenge myself to be an adult and independent and capable, just to test, can I do this? Can I go out into the real world, into the world, the global world, not into New York City where I grew up, the real world, and be a global citizen? And I did it, and I could do it, and I could bring all that information back to New York and spread it to everybody else who didn't get the chance to go or hadn't gone yet or were too afraid to go. And so I was really excited to come back. And my friend Jesse Kowarski, your friend too, who was in The Drowned Man with me, and we both came back to New York, and he was in Sleep No More, and we stayed really close. And he, I guess, heard a rumor that Hofesh was choreographing Fiddler on the Roof on Broadway, and I just looked at him and said, okay, well, we're gonna be in that then, like, definitely. And because he was saying it's my dream, and I was like, well, this is actually something I can make happen. I have I have all the training, all the resources for that to happen. Yes. So I made his dream my dream too, because why not? And then you know, just kind of put it out into the universe that was something that was going to happen. And then was contacted by the casting director, or like the casting director's assistant, because they knew that I had danced for Hofesh, and that I'm Jewish, and that I am an actor, and that, you know,
just like everything,
and that I'm in New York. And it really was this crazy universe moment where everything lined up perfectly. And so I go to this audition, and because I was invited to this private audition, I was like, Jesse, I'm invited to this audition, so email this person so you can come too. and so the audition is held by Chris Evans, who is the associate choreographer, and he and I knew each other from the company, and I nailed that audition. And not that it was my best work, you know, or like, I'm really not good in auditions. I don't pick up material very quickly, so I struggle with that. I learn a little bit slower than other people, but I know the quality. And nobody else in all of America knows how to do this work except for me. And I mean, I like wore like a black shirt and like black pants. Like I looked like, you know.
Did you have a prior experience with the show? Like,
no,
okay.
Had never seen the show, like had never seen the movie, had never seen the show, never sang in front of a person ever in my life, was like, you know, not a musical theater. I don't know anything about musical theater. But I, you know, I like wore my hair like just right. I like was going to book this job, and I did really, really well. I just danced my heart out at the audition, and the director came up to me afterward and was like, you know, so do you sing too? And I was like, I don't sing at all. No, like not even. And I said, but I'll take lessons. I can learn. I can do that. He's like, okay. So I get cast to do the choreographic workshop of it, which was a 2-week lab that we did, where Hofesh came and we made all the material that was going to be in the show. And then even still, we didn't know if we were going to be in the show or not. And but I knew that I had to let Sleep No More know whether I would sign on for another contract or if I was going to leave and go and do this show. So I unabashedly asked the director if he was going to consider me for the show or not, because I needed to be able to let my current show know. And we had a singing audition that went horribly wrong for me. It was horrible, like really a disaster. And so I said, you know, I know that was not great, but if you were still considering me, it would be really great if you would let me know. And he was like, oh my God, of course. You're definitely in this show. Oh my God, of course. Like, okay, amazing. Broadway was never on my radar. It was never a dream for me. Everybody would say, oh, you're a dancer, so you want to be on Broadway. No, I don't think I want to be on Broadway. I mean, maybe, but I have no idea. Debuting on Broadway was one of the most magical nights of my entire life. That first, and coming from performing in immersive theater, you forget what it feels like to be on a huge stage with thousands of people in the audience, and what that energetic rush that comes onto stage when the curtain goes up and you sing that first line, or the audience just roars with, you know, emotion and joy, and you can feel it. You think that you're so removed and there's this fourth wall that we talk about, but you feel them, and it is still a conversation that happens. And sometimes they laugh at your jokes, or sometimes they are moved by the number that and explode, and you feel like you're a rock star at a concert and they're just like yelling for you. And sometimes they're very polite, and it all depends on what day of the week it is, or how they feel, or, you know, what you're giving. And but debuting on Broadway was epic. It was epic. I think every time I went off stage, I cried.
Oh my God, I totally, I just can't imagine.
Yeah. And I had no idea that I would feel that emotional about it, or that I cared that much. You know, the universe lined it all up. I did all, you know, I was in the company with Hofesh, and then I came and did the show. And coincidentally, Bartlett Sher, who's the director, worked with Maxine Doyle, the choreographer of Sleep No More, right, on an opera in Germany. So like all of the variables were all there. The material's really fun. It's really fun to dance every night. There's one number called L'Chaim where we're in a tavern and you're just drinking and you're hanging out, and I'm playing a little boy, like a little yeshiva boy who has no facial hair yet, and shouldn't be in the tavern but is, and is getting a little drunk, and then, you know, we bust out into dancing. And the choreography, the way it was all directed, the choreography in dance really is birthed out of the need for dance, because you're in a bar and you're gonna just be a little bit wild and you're gonna have a dance number, rather than most musicals where there's a song and then dance is like this background spectacle addition to kind of get the energy up. Now this is all, when there's a dance number in Fiddler on the Roof, it is because we're going to focus on dancing, because dance is so important to that culture, to those people. Jews dance, they drink, they dance, they eat, and then there's a scene where there's a wedding, and Jews dance at weddings. It is a thing that happens no matter what. There is, you know, a hora, there is dancing. And Hofesh, his background when he was younger was in folk dance, in Jewish folk dance. So he really captured that. And so there's this joy that comes with the choreography, and it's like very specific, so it looks like you're just kind of running around and throwing yourself, and it's free, but it's very curated.
Yeah.
Your hand has to be in a certain place. And when I was in the company and I didn't understand why it had to be so specific, now being in the show and I was the dance captain and I had to maintain it and I got to watch the show from a different point of view, I understood why it needed to be so specific, because there are moments that have to be really soft and subtle, and then moments that are really punchy and hard. And when you put them next to each other, that's when it pops. That's when your eye goes, oh, wow, oh my God, oh, quiet, quiet, whoa, you know, and he's really good at getting you to focus in on some little detail and then widen your focus on a big picture and feeling rowdy and feeling sexy and feeling soft and supple and gooey, and you kind of go through all of these textures. Being a dance captain was it was a great experience for me. It made me realize that I wanted to be more than a dancer. That I guess, bringing qualities out in people and maintaining integrity of the work that you're doing. Because it's so easy for us when you do the same thing over and over and over again to kind of expand out rather than dig down, if that makes sense. And when you expand out, the original intention kind of goes away and lines get blurred and the intention is unclear then. But when you dive down and you dig deep and you go down the well, like it only gets clearer and clearer and clearer and more specific.
Right.
If that makes sense. Like when you're looking at something, if you kind of widen out, you lose the frame. But if you go like this, then you're seeing it more clearly through that tunnel. And I want space to hear myself think. And I'm starting to understand that I am a creator and that I want to make stuff, but I've been so afraid of hearing that or letting that out. Since I was in high school, and there were people who were like, I'm a choreographer, and I'd be like, oh, I'm not one of those, okay. And like watching that person grow up as a choreographer next to me growing up as a dancer and seeing the work and having I have so much respect for like every art form. And I think I feel or have felt that choreography is like its own art form to dance in the way that acting would be its own art form to directing. And I'm only now understanding that they do go together, and that you can do both of those things, and that I have worked for so many people that I can do that, and that I can do it better than probably a lot of people who are doing it, which is such a nasty thing to say, I guess. But so I'm slowly right now getting the confidence to say that I can do that. And I've been collaborating with my boyfriend, Tim Richardson, and he's a filmmaker and photographer, director. He's really given me, helped me blossom as a creator and given me the confidence to own that. He directed a Mazda commercial that I choreographed, and while it's not like the most brilliant work that I've ever done, I'm really proud of what I did because I listened to the needs of a client and the needs of the director and the needs of dancers, and was able, there's a lot of special effects, these beautiful movement trails that are coming off of the dancers to create the body of the car. And so I had to, you had to really visualize, okay, well, what moves are going to make the shape of a car, or what what feeling what movement can illustrate the grille of a car versus the glass of the car, because they're all going to be different textures.
Wow.
And So I'm really proud of what I was able to do with that, and really excited for the next thing. I was never satisfied being a dancer in a dance company on a stage that's like far away from an audience, in a dance show where only other dancers are coming to see the work, like the rest of the world isn't coming. And I want to make work in the same way. I don't want to make work that is only seen by other dancers and other choreographers. I want to make work that everybody gets to be involved in and everyone gets to feel from.
Yeah.
Because dancers are so special. You have to be completely open and honest, and you have to have a really, really, really open heart when you're performing and when you're in a studio, when you're making stuff. You have to. Otherwise, it doesn't work. You don't reach people because it's too abstract. Oh, I don't understand it. But if your heart is open, then people just feel. They just understand.